In the Grimm brothers' The Maiden with No Hands, we find yet another contender for World's Worst Dad. Hi, I'm Liz. Welcome to
Fucked Up Fairy Tales with Liz.
Ding! Now, I'm going to tell you the original version of The Maiden with No Hands that the Grimm brothers recorded. If you remember some things differently, it may be because they revised this tale later on, but we'll talk about the revisions later. Let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a very poor miller and his family. All he had to his name was the mill and an apple tree behind it in the backyard. One day, as the miller collected firewood in the forest, he was approached by a strange little old man. "Hey man, why torture yourself with all that work when I could make you rich?" "I'm listening. Just promise to give me what's behind your mill, in writing, and I'll make you rich. I'll even wait 3 years to pick up what you promised me." "Crazy old man, that tree ain't worth shit, but..." "Sure, I'll do it." But the old man wasn't referring to the apple tree. The miller came home, and his wife immediately approached him. "Harold, what the hell is happening? I'm in the kitchen, preparing dinner, minding my business. I reach into the drawer for a wooden spoon, and poof, all this money! I look in all the other drawers, money everywhere! Do you have an explanation?" "Yes, honey, you won't believe it! Some fucking idiot in the forest offered to make me rich in exchange for our old apple tree." "This sounds suspicious. Tell me exactly what he said." "He said, I'll make you rich if you promise me I can have what's standing behind your mill. The apple tree." "Harold, you idiot! He obviously didn't mean the apple tree. You don't make deals with little old men in the woods. That was the devil you were talking to. And what's standing behind our mill right now is our daughter." "Oh no!" 3 years passed and the devil came right on time. "Ah, I'm here, suckers! Now give me that beautiful gal!" But the miller's daughter, who was very beautiful, was also very pious, and she had taken some precautions to protect herself against the devil. The miller's daughter had washed herself up, essentially purifying herself. She had also drawn a chalk circle around herself for protection, so the devil couldn't take her away. So the devil made a demand on the miller. "You sneaky son of a whore! Don't let your daughter have any access to water, otherwise I have no power over her. I'll be back tomorrow." Now, to me it seems like we have a solution to our problem. But fear of the devil meant that the miller was gonna keep his promise. So the miller's daughter was unable to wash herself, but the next morning when the devil came, she wept on her hands so much that the devil once again had no power over her. "You sneaky pieces of shit! Miller, cut your daughter's hands off! I can't do that to my own child!" "Well, if you don't do it, I'm coming for you!" "Okay, I can do it to my own child." The miller appealed to his daughter. "Honey, if I don't chop off your hands, the devil's gonna take me away. And I'm so scared." "You gotta do what you gotta do?" So the cowardly miller chops his daughter's hands off. And the devil came back the third time, but the daughter had still wept all over her mutilated arms. So the devil still had no power over her, and he lost any claim he had on her. So that's it, devil out. "Well, daughter, despite this misfortune, we are now rich beyond our wildest dreams, and I will do everything I can to provide for you." Fucking kidding me, Dad? You think I'm gonna stay here after you sold me out? After you mutilated me and it didn't even have to happen, frankly? We both could have stepped in that circle and cried on ourselves, Dad! I'm sure there are some very kind people out there who will take care of me and not sell me to the devil and chop off my hands. Strap my hands to my back, Dad. At dawn, I'm fucking out. And the girl did leave that morning with her maimed hands tied to her back. She walked all day until she reached the king's garden. She found a hole in the hedge, and she went inside to have a snack. The girl snuck into the king's garden, and he had an orchard there. She shook the tree with her body, and some apples fell off, and she was able to eat those. She hid in the garden, and she was able to survive this way for a couple days. But on the third day, she was caught by the palace guards. They brought her before the king to have her expelled. But his son, the prince, said, No, let's not rush this. She just stole a couple apples. Let's have her work it off in the chicken coop." So they put her to work there instead. As she worked there over time, the prince came to visit her often. "You're so pretty." And soon it became time for the prince to find a wife. "Well, son, I've sent all the messengers of the court out to find you a beautiful and rich bride." "You don't have to send them out so far. I have a bride very close to home." "You're not talking about that girl in the chicken coop, are you?" "That is who I mean." "Well, I refuse to allow it." "Well, I refuse to marry anyone else." Whatever, I'm gonna die soon anyway. And he did die shortly thereafter. And the prince took his throne with his new beautiful wife. But that's not the end of the story. Now at some point, the new young king and the husband of the Maiden with No Hands had to go off to battle. So he did, and while he was away, the young queen gave birth to their son. She sent a message off with a messenger to inform the king of the wonderful news. But the devil was sore about missing out on her last time. When the messenger fell asleep by a brook, The devil appeared, and he swapped out the letters. Ha ha! See what your husband says now. The queen gave birth to a changeling? Ugh, that's not great. Oh, poor thing, she's probably so distressed. Messenger, take this reply back. It says that the queen and our son should be protected at all cost. So the messenger headed back with the reply, but when he took a nap again, ha ha! I gotta get a sneak peek at this reply. This guy's nicer than I thought he'd be. No worries, letter swap! The devil swapped out the letters, and he sent a new one home to the queen. My husband, the king, wants me and the child banished? No, we love our queen! You know, I didn't come here to become queen, and this is just my luck. So I'm out. The queen bound her hands and her baby to her back, and she set out once more to see if she could find someone nice to help her out. And she did find a nice old man in the forest who was not the devil this time. He helped her hold up the baby so he could nurse, and then he gestured to a tree. Go wrap your arms around that tree 3 times. She did what he said, and her hands grew back. Magic! Good, now you can go and live in that little house over there. And this is very important. Don't leave for anyone, and don't let anyone in unless they ask 3 times to be let in, quote, for God's sake. She stayed there for some years. And meanwhile, the king returned home. What the hell is this? I didn't write this! Someone must have swapped out my letter. Wait a minute, I bet my kid isn't even a changeling. This stinks of the devil. Get me a servant, I'm off to find my wife. He took a single servant, and they set out to find her. The king and his servant searched long and hard for the queen. They ended up getting lost in the very forest in which she was hiding. Your Majesty, can we take a rest? I shall not rest until I've found my wife. Oh, God, sir, I'm just so tired. Please, can we rest? Please, please, pretty please, 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 please. All right, calm down, bro. They arrived at the house that the queen was hiding in, and they saw the queen standing in the window. Say, that dame looks like your wife! Of course, it can't be her. Your wife had no hands. What are you, a fucking idiot? That's obviously her. Go, knock on the door. Hey, lady, can we come in? I can't let you in. You didn't ask for God's sake. Wait, what? Please, let us in for God's sake. You have to say it 3 times. Like Beetlejuice. For God's sake, let me in. The queen opened the door, and the king's son came skipping out. Daddy! They were reunited, and as they left the next morning to return to the kingdom, the little house that the queen had been hiding in vanished. The end. Now, in the later version of the story, the Grimm brothers added a lot more, like, Christian symbolism in it. An angel helped her along the way. It also looks like in some versions, the king gives the maiden silver hands when they get married. And at the end, she shows these silver hands to the king to prove that she's his wife. Oh yeah, in later versions, it's the king himself who can't recognize his wife with her hands. I like this older version where we give him the benefit of the doubt. If you're interested, there's a YA book inspired by this tale, The Sacred Lies of Minnow Bly by Stephanie Oakes. But it's not a fairy tale, it's a thriller, and it's set in a cult. So the father figure is the cult leader, and it's also a murder mystery. It's really good. Some pretty violent scenes in it, though, including when she loses her hands. Hope everyone's doing well. I'll see you around.
Fucked up fairy tales with Liz. Fucked up fairy tales with Liz.